What in the Captain Jack Sparrow, Captain Knuckles fucking shit is 1,000 ships and 9 voyages? Like, are we really gonna go like Pirates of the Caribbean with this raggedy shit? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Crow here, and I just received the news about the new spin-off series to the spin-off House of the Dragon. So they've ordered 2 more spin-offs to the spin-off that hasn't even shown up yet at any damn point. Um it hasn't even shown or aired to us. But yeah, like I said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Crow here, coming with rants, movies, news, and more. And Lord, woo, we got something to talk about. I love to rant. It's my deal. I enjoy it. It's one of those things where I like to challenge hive mind thinking. And like I said, if you are one of those people who carry those hive mind mentalities, please kindly scoot the hell off my page, because I am not here for sheeple shit. I am here for free thoughts, thinkers, people who are able to have a disagreement with, we are able to have disagreements with, and well, come to the conclusion altogether that this show is going to get raggedy before it even starts. Lord. So let's get to the news. So apparently, HBO has ordered 2 more spin-off shows of the Game of Thrones universe. One being 10,000 ships and 9 voyages. If you are not familiar with the Game of Thrones lore, 10,000 ships are the ships that Nymeria had sailed. Not Nymeria, the damn direwolf. Even though I would like to see her adventures more than this shit. I would see the damn direwolf more than this. It's about Nymeria traveling from the east to go to Dorne to marry a Morris Martell, which was not the founder of House Martell, but pretty much he was a member of House Martell of the ancient kind of ancestral seat of Dorne, pretty much. That's going to be about her and her journey and how she went from the east, lost some niggas, and carried over 10,000 ships to settle in Dorne and stuff like that. Um, that's going to be one of the spinoffs. And that's going to be one of the spinoffs that Amanda uh, Segel is going to write. And if you do not know who Amanda Segel is, she's done stuff and writing and storyboards and set boards for the show Good Wife, The Mist, Hailstorm. That's just to name a couple of fucking things that she's done. Um, and I want to apologize ahead of time before I begin this rant too. I do not have my mic with me. Like I said, I just was getting to this news as it came. But long story short, she's going to be doing the 10,000 ships. I don't know who's going to be doing the 9 voyages. All I know is there are possibly talks going with HBO when it comes to this shit. And if you need to know, that was 10,000 ships with Nymeria. 9 voyages is going to be about Corlys Valeruon and his 9 voyages to Essos. And if anybody's familiar with that lore, if anybody should know, the Valeruons are supposedly the richest family, richer than the Lannisters. Supposedly, that they said. Because Corlys Valeruon, and they've always amassed their wealth through sailing, but Corlys Valeruon made the 9 voyages to Essos. He landed off in places like Quarth and Larath and Lys and Myr, and supposedly past the, past, I don't know, the JC, or I don't know where the fuck that is. Pretty much kind of where East is at in, Yitati and the Golden Empire, and I don't know. He's passed pretty much everywhere. This is pretty much just going to be him sailing all across the world, like on some Oliver's thousand journey shit. I don't know what the fuck it's gonna be about, but it's supposed to be about that. That's what those spin-offs are supposed to be at. I would love to say that it's our tax dollars working, like hard working, or going hard to work, but I can't even say that. I don't even want my tax dollars to be associated with this, even if it was true, because this is got to be some of the most stankest shit I have ever fucking had the nerve to even just fathom. I mean, there's so many reasons why I'm just like, is this really going to happen? Is this really going to happen? I mean, let's just say it like this. If they do House of the Dragon, and it's only one season, just say if House of the Dragon is one whole big season, and then they do an anthology of like 1,000 ships and 9 voyages. I would be cool with that if they go the anthology route, which is more American Horror Story kind of route, where every season is something different, and they come to a conclusion nice and neatly, which would be perfectly actually more safer for HBO to do, as far as I'm concerned, than beat on that same dusty hammer with the same plot lines for the Iron Throne again. It would be very, very much more refreshing if they had an anthology. But that's the only compliment I'm going to give this raggedy ass shit. I really am at this point. I mean, I really don't give a horse shit about Nymeria and her 10,000 ships. I really don't. I really seriously don't. Because it's boring as fuck. And there's not enough fucking really information. They claim that she went, to other areas coming from the east and stuff like that. Some of the Roynish landed on the Stepstones. They claim that, they established, Isle of Women, and it's ridiculous, where they claim that she led him to the Summer Isles, then the Isle of Women, and it became known as the Isle of Women after. It's I don't know. It's just, and then they went to Sorthros, Balisk Isles. I mean, I'm just like in Yin. I just don't care. I seriously don't care. The history of it is just like dumb. I don't get it. It's just, the history of it is just so, I don't care. It's like, so what? You led a bunch of bitches somewhere else to make an Isle of Bitches. I don't know. Like, what am I supposed to feel as a black woman? Like, oh, they're doing a story about women, and woo, like bullshit. They're just gonna patronize. It's gonna be patronizing as fuck. We already know. It's going to be patronizing as fuck. They're going to sit there and have a bunch of lesbians on the Isle of Women, which I would be interested to see that, but knowing it'll be fodder for men to jack off to. I personally don't care about Nymeria's story. I really don't. I would have really cared about if you're just, in the mood for, I don't know, ordering spin-offs that you've not written, and, especially with you really just out here assuming that the shit's gonna pop, assuming that your spinoff is going to pop. What I really would have enjoyed that they ordered is The Long Night, the first one. The one, where we had like 8 seasons and wasted all 10 years of our life to see what these goddamn, frosty ass popsicle looking ass motherfuckers would do. I mean, I know I'm just ranting and I'm going off course here. It's just frustrating that you're going to focus on that. And I understand the thing where people were saying they're focusing on Nymeria based on the instantaneous fact that the Dornish were done dirty on the Game of Thrones show. Yes, the Dornish were done, very dirty. They really were. In the books, they're done nerdy too. So it's just like, why is this occurring? Why is this in my field of vision? That's what I want to know. Is why is this shit in my field of vision? I need to know why that's in my field of vision, because I don't care that it is in my field of vision. To be quite honest with you, I seriously do not give a shit that it's in my field of vision, because it's not going to make me go to it anymore. It's really not. It's really, really not. If anything, it's just going to make me have anxiety that this woman, that Nymeria, is probably going to get like sexually assaulted. What do I care? Like, once again, I think all the staff and the writers are a bunch of white old dudes still. So yeah, that's really going to work for me. Good job, y'all, including the whitest old dude of all, George. Which I'm just like, but nigga, like, excuse my French, but I'm, me as a black woman saying this, but nigga, like, white people have so many blind spots in America, in this country. To even think that you can have the audacity to order 2 shows with 2 leaders of color and think that you don't have any blind spots because you're going to do something decent or different with House of the Dragon, or completely rely on George's story, is beyond me. It's beyond me. I think they're just doing this with 110% confidence because they think that they can rely on George's story. And yes, those are the factions and points that were written, but 9 Voyages wasn't even all the way written. We only know like 4 of Corlys Valeruon's journeys. We don't know about the other fucking 5, do we? Like, I don't believe I do. I don't remember reading it. It's been a while since I read that damn dumpster fire book. But I seem to remember reading 4 journeys, not all 9 of them. Okay? Like I said, I don't care about Dorne. If this is supposed to revitalize Dorne, if this was supposed to revitalize Dorne, it does not fucking matter. Like, all of the Dornish royalty is pretty much dead, and then they had to replace it with some other guy who we did not know in season 8. Like, who is he? I don't know who he is. Like, who was that guy at the end of season 8 sitting with them who is Dornish? Who were they? I mean, they won the Game of Thrones because they didn't participate, but I don't care. And what really is annoying is between 10,000 ships and this 9 voyage spinoff, which, like I said, is going to be a dumpster fire worthy of California's greatest fires in the course of the last, century since I've lived in California. If I had to think about it, where are the fucking dragons? I mean, yeah, the more interesting portion of Corlys' 9 journeys is he might go to Asshai, where supposedly there's a theory that dragons do come from the shadow of Asshai. But I don't give a fuck unless I see it. I mean, possibly it may be a thing where he may sail north over Essos, and they claim supposedly that this ice dragon is there, which is a spinoff from his first book called The Ice Dragon. But I don't care. I seriously do not give a fuck. I just don't. I mean, I really don't. Unless there's a dragon in there, why do I give a fuck? The reason why people like Game of Thrones is because they like to see these dragons come to life. And like I said, the casting, the makeup crew, the CGI crew, the people who make these dragons come to life, you guys are fucking brilliant. I will never not insult the people who give their hard work to this show. I will not insult them because it's just gorgeous. Their costumes are gorgeous, and the dragons are gorgeous. But if you take away the dragons, the costumes don't mean any motherfucking thing, and the plot means no motherfucking thing. Like, great, boring. Like I said, boring. I just in my mind, I'm thinking boring and racist and white-splaining. Those are the 3 thoughts that come. Oh, and my 4th thought, black baiting. Those are the 4 thoughts that cross my fucking head when I think about these 2 spinoff shows, 1,000 Ships and 9 Voyages. When I think about this shit, yeah. Okay? Not to mention, I get weird flashbacks in my fucking head already about 9 Voyages and a black man on a ship because it feels so weirdly and underhandedly synonymous with black people being on slave ships when they cross the Atlantic. I'm just putting that out there. But I don't know. That seems like that's more of a personal problem on my end. And I will deal with it. But I think it's just too motherfucking ambitious for a staff that still has a bunch of white writers. White people do not have good hindsight about culture and, about black culture. That even if they heavily rely on George R. R. Martin's plot, there still will be a portion within George R. R. Martin's plot, if they go with it, depending on how much they condense or add on, that might point out as something that might offend black people. Like, let's be honest here. You can sit here and rely on a plot all you fucking want to, but how is this handled? Okay? And we don't know the detail by detail spin-off stories. It's not like Dunk and Egg where Corlys or Nymeria have their own detailed kind of day-to-day lingering on what the fuck did they do upon their voyages. It's not like they have that. I mean, it would have been better if they just Jack Sparrowed it and just made it a movie. Okay? And that's it. It's too ambitious. I don't see any black staff around there, as far as I'm concerned. Like, where are these black? Yeah, where are these black staff members? So it makes me kind of think that this kind of situation with Nymeria, because if they get a more brown skinned woman, because Nymeria, I'm just gonna assume her being Roynish. I'm going to assume that Nymeria is more brown skin, more tan skin. She has that more dusky kind of beautiful brown skin and things like that. I'm going to assume that. Of course, they've already established Corlys as a black man. So they've already established that. But it doesn't still matter. It feels like it's controlled diversity by white people. It really feels like controlled diversity. Like, oh, look at us. Look at what we can do. We can hire people of color. And, ooh, look at them. They're our little flagship people to, like, prove that we're not racist because we were racist damn near 12 years ago. And it's just like, wow, you're black and brown baiting people. And the thing of it is, they're only doing that because it's a trend in Hollywood to come and put black people in places and in scripts and in situations that I don't even think are fitted for black people. I'm not saying that we're not fitted for everything, but there's just some things where it's just like, it's so white that leave it to the white people. Just leave it to them. Like Lord of the Rings, as much as I love the story, Lord of the Rings is one of those those movies, and hopefully Lord of the Rings will get its own spin-off shows, that if I see all white people, I am not mad at it because it is the whitest thing ever. It is. It is the whitest thing ever, considering the author who wrote it. Don't put us in none of that shit. Okay? We don't want it. And as the words of Jon Snow, I don't want it. Okay? I don't want it. Alright? So, I don't want white men's controlled diversity and then white splaining to me on how they can be diverse when they never were. Because if you were diverse, you would have fucking did Masande much better than what the fuck you did if you guys were anywhere as diverse as what you think you are. And I'm talking about HBO executives. I'm talking about George R. R. Martin as an executive. You could have stepped in too. Stop sitting there acting like you couldn't. And I don't want to hear that motherfucking excuse. Well, they wrote him off the show. D&D did. Nigga, you have power. Don't play that. Like, I just don't. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if they really want to take on blackness, they could have just called Misha Green's overly militant ass into the green room. They could have just called her into the green room or into the pitch room to pitch it. At least I would have felt like safer, to be quite honest. And I don't even like Misha Green like that. But if we're going to go with this big white ass denomination and them white splaining to me on how 1,000 ships and 9 voyages, these spin-off series, are going to, I don't know, work, they might as well have Misha Green sitting in the goddamn fucking writer's room to fucking just do what she does best. At least it would have been even, and at least I would have felt more safer in their decisions. Especially, I know this is odd saying this with Misha Green. I would have felt more safer with them dealing with diversity, um, dealing with these factors, okay? Because a lot of things with white people, they don't know how to deal with fucking diversity. They really don't. They don't know how to deal with it as well. They really don't. It's true. We've seen how they've mishandled diversity time and time again. The only way I can ever remember a couple of shows handling diversity kind of well was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because there were a lot of black vampire slayers in Buffy the Vampire Slayers in the 90s. And it wasn't this overly gratuitous thing. They were black. They kicked ass. They killed demons. And that's what they did. That's what they did. Okay? It wasn't this big ass motherfucking commotion like how they're trying to do. They're trying to make it a big commotion, but then downplay it at the same time. And I'm, as a black woman who's been too disappointed in trusting white writers to do the right thing with their stories and put diversity in, yeah, that's bullshit. I rather just I only trust black authors in trying to do or black showrunners, or a mixed diverse of showrunners who are on your team to do this shit. I know this is running longer, but I had to really just stretch this out. And like I said, I'm just not for the black baiting. I'm just not for the black baiting at any damn point. And I'm not really for their narrative on these spin-off shows of trying to white explain shit. I know people can sit there and say, well, oh, you're reaching. I was like, I'm not reaching. I am just concerned. Very, very, very fucking concerned about how these people handle this. This came from D&D. It came from George R.R. Martin, obviously. But this is still a spin. This is still a thing of a tailspin from D&D's mess. It really is. And mind you, George R. R. Martin is a 70-something-year-old fucking man. His take on diversity is way more vastly different than to be quite honest, than my take of diversity. And it's really messed up. So I don't really feel like at the end of the day that we should have this kind of deal where people are, running this kind of show where we're having these kind of essences of white people try to explain to us what's going on because they don't know anything about it. And then, there's another thing too. You're doing 2 spinoffs of 2 spinoffs? Like, the first spinoff hasn't even dropped yet. The first spinoff has not even dropped yet. So if the first spinoff hasn't dropped yet, why are we even going into this kind of directive if the first spinoff has not even dropped yet? That's the thing. It would be one thing if they say, we're going to do this, and the first spin-off show had already dropped. But you're ordering 2 more, like you really are going to succeed. I guess they're betting on the name. They're betting on the name. They really are. They're betting on the name to help them succeed. They're betting on the dragons to help them succeed. But if they don't know how to write other characters, or if they have these blind spots with people of color in their stories, then it's not going to be good. Yes, Corlys will have a decent story because he's the richest man. He has a rich backstory. But how are you going to handle him once he gets on screen? How are you going to handle him? How are you going to do that? And if you handle him dirty, even though he lives out the Dance of the Dragons, all the way until age 79, he lives it out. They call him the Kingmaker. Okay, even though he lives it out, how are you going to handle his journey in between? And they're not going to probably do it well. They're not going to do it well. They're going to be like, oh, we're about hiring diversity. they're gonna have this one will say they're going to get the assignment, but they're not going to get the work that it takes to succeed and complete the assignment. I have a strong feeling it's gonna do that. And I think it's a little bit too much that they're counting their chickens before they hatch. And I really just, like I said, I just hate that they're using people of color because they know that they have disappointed their own white audiences. They've disappointed them. There is no reasoning for it. They know that certain white people will not watch this shit because some of them might be racist. Some of them may just be done with the show. Okay, I'm not saying all of their white audiences are racist, but some of them have just given up on the show in general, and they decided to be free thinkers and, I don't know, read other books. Jade City from Kwong people. That's a pretty good book that I'm reading right fucking now. That should be, in production, but we're stuck with this shit right now. I swear to God, they're gonna run all the dragons out to where we're gonna be just pretty much like cool on dragons. But I mean, I hate that they're trying to use people of color to think like we are all going to forgive them for how they've done other people of color on their shows. I really hate that they're going to do something like that. I really hate that they're going to do something like that because they're doing this to say like, well, do you forgive us for fucking up other people of color? Do you forgive us? Do you? We made Corlys black. We're gonna make probably, we're gonna make Nymeria possibly a sexy Latina. We don't know. We're just gonna do this so it'll make you feel better. No, bitch, not every black person is gonna fucking feel better. And the thing that leads me to this next thing, I know I'm going on a rant here, and I was not counting on this to be this long, and I wasn't planning on it to be a race rant, but I'm so not fooled. I'm so not fooled by the bullshit that I'm seeing. And I don't trust it. Okay? I don't trust it. And which leads me to the next point of what I'm trying to make, or the next point I'm trying to make, is they are ordering all these shows to cover up the original. You think by burying these spin-offs is going to cover the fact that we all wasted 10 to 12 years of our fucking lives, had fucking raised our kids on this show and the books. You think by burying spin-off after spin-off after spin-off after spin-off that it's gonna erase that raggedy shit that you did? It might work, but not for me. It might work, but not for me. That's cute, but really, you should be trying to repair the mess that you make. And how it's so easy how they could have repaired it. And I am going to be trying another video where how House of the Dragon could repair or possibly ease the damage of what Game of Thrones was. It could have eased it. It could have eased it much better. It could. It really could. But I'm just going to be quite honest. I don't care about 10,000 Ships or 9 Voyages. I don't know what the fuck the magical elements of it is going to be. I mean, what? I guess you're just going to have winged men because, he has that where there's going to be men who are winged or something like that. Or snakeskin people or some kind of... The more further you get east in Essos, the more Lovecraftian it gets. And I'm just like, I would love to say that he plagiarized off of Lovecraft, but Lovecraft is public domain. It sucks to be that racist asshole's fucking ghost. It really does. But, like I said, the only interesting thing that I could think of Corlys doing is going to Ashai. And that's not even really interesting within itself. Because I don't really care. It's just going to be warlocks and wizards there and shit like that. Maybe my love of this show and this goddamn book, it has just drained my soul completely to where I cannot be excited for anything. But what leads me to my biggest thing, my biggest thing. And also too, about his voyage, just to tack that up and write that nice and neat for an ending. A lot of people were talking about, well, will he see the remnants of the great empire of Dawn? Well, I don't give a shit, because the great empire of Dawn had literally passed him thousands and thousands of years prior to him even ever being a fucking live. So I seriously don't give a damn. But now that that's over, I want to get back to something I said recently about them using people of color to think that they're going to get a viewership. Now, if you know anything about black and brown people, we have a wonderful, long, tumultuous, gritty history with being able to sit and watch shows for a long time. There are shows that cater to our taste, even though it's not really my taste. Like reality TV shows with certain black women, or just certain women in general. But when you do the numbers and the math, black women have higher percentages of watching those certain kinds of shows. And black people in general, depending on what's what, we have higher percentages of watching shows. So if we're into a show, we really will show out for a show. Which, the more viewings, the more ratings, the more money. Now, I'm not saying that Game of Thrones will not reach its 35 million worldwide fucking spectacle again. But a lot of people with their PR team, a lot of people don't even know that this shit even exists. So, I mean, for them to order 2 shows ahead of time, it's just raggedy as fuck to me. It's dingy, it's dirty, it's raggedy, it's everything. Okay? It really is. Like I said, it really is. To be quite honest with you, because you're getting ahead of yourself. And like I said about them getting back to them black baiting, how does making a black man's journey like Corlys Valeruon solve the fact that a black woman, aka Missandei, was beheaded and done so dirty? See, trigger warning to all the little, the little soft shell kind of snowflake kind of people. Like, seriously, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. I am so sick of the media shitting on black women and stories and shows and all the above, and then saying, well, oh, that was racist. And when black people get mad and say, oh, this was racist, they go and it's racist, but then they go ahead and award black men positions within their universes and shows. So black women are not their own separate people or entity. I really feel like this is what's happening. And it will really confirm for me once the show starts if they cut Nettle's rollout. I know I've been saying this before, but that's the only thing I've ever really been like decently kind of like excited about is Nettles, because she's just badass. She's somebody who started from the bottom and then she grew into this accomplished dragon seed, and she got out of the game before it got too much. And I want to know where the fuck she went. People say she settled in some cave where the burned men are, or the burned airmen, or whatever the fuck it is, in the mountains of the Vale or around that area. But it doesn't mean that there's not much it doesn't mean that there's nothing to tell of her tale. There's nothing that you can't make up of her tale. It's so much easier. I could even write it. Okay? I can write that shit in my sleep. But I would never write that shit for fan fiction worth a damn, because I don't do fan fiction anymore. I write professionally. But at the end of the day, how does giving Corlys Valeruon his own show solve out how they did a black woman dirty? Because Grey Worm was done dirty, but he didn't lose his life. Okay? And that's one of the big things. this, okay? And I'm so sick of the media downing on black women, but awarding black men every fucking thing. And I don't, and trigger warning, and I'm sorry to say this, some black men are just as bad as white men with their racism toward their own black women. There is that kind of factor that goes around too. That black men have dogged black women to other people of color, or to white people or other peoples of color, and it makes black women feel like they're the lowest fucking denominator when it comes to choices of romance, race, sex, job opportunities, and all the above. And white men obviously perpetuate and push this shit. Like, why don't we just show a black man and see on a spinoff show and see what there's about? And yes, they have stories. The Thousand Ships, the Nine Voyages have other stories. But you know who have other stories with sailing and crazy ass shit? The Black Pearl. The one who fucked the fat Aegon the Unworthy. I mean, other people of color who are black have stories if this is such a diverse fucking show. Or this is such a diverse universe. And I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible. Other people have interesting stories that are on there. Possibly. I don't know. But there's so much more that you can mold from it. Even if George R. R. Martin doesn't even fucking complete the fucking shit. I can literally mold Nettle's story into making it a reasonable fucking story. In a heartbeat. And push out probably more books with integrity, detail, and decency than what he even does. And that's just me being real. So I don't give a shit about the 9 voyages or 10,000 fucking ships. I don't care. But I care a little bit. I could care about 1,000 ships, but it probably will be boring because it does have something to do with women. But I seriously don't give a fuck about seeing another black man just have this exile glory again. I mean, don't we have Captain America, the new Captain America being black? I mean, don't we have that? We have Black Lightning with black men. We have so many black men shows. We have Black fucking Panther, for Christ's sakes. I mean, black men are getting their opportunity for things, but I really don't care. And that's the situation. And I just don't get it personally. I don't get it. I don't know what goes on with it. But people just got to grow the fuck up. I understand that, but people got to grow the fuck up and get out of their basis and their mentality that this show is even more diverse than what it is. Just get out of it. Get out of your head. It's not going to be. It's going to piss off possibly me and other people. Now, if they actually do it right, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if they actually do this right. But I highly doubt that they will, because it doesn't seem to me that they have any person of color on their show or on their writer's board to explain or even break down pivotal moments that the script might encounter that might be a snag or it might be a jab towards race or it might be seen as racist by black people. They're going to have those blind spots. And my whole ideal is if you have anything concerning black folks and you're trying to tell our story, we need to see it first. We need to see it. And I'm saying that as it. I'm saying that as it is. And as far as I'm concerned, like I said, what would have been a better spinoff series to where I could possibly think or forgive this raggedy spinoff news, it would have been perfect if they had Nettles in her journey. It would have been a good journey or a good kind of story or a good kind of spinoff story to actually kind of repair how dirty they've done black women. That would have been a more better solution than 10,000 ships and another motherfucking, oh look, it's another black man story. it would have been better. Black women deserve agency fucking too. They do. And even though I don't like Misha Green, she still deserves her agency too. Okay? I respect her right to have it. So I know this rant ran on for 40 minutes. I was really not fucking prepared for any of this at any fucking point. But when I just got the news, I was just like, oh my fucking God. They're just getting way too ahead of themselves with this and hyping up their own fucking like base for something that they really do not know what they're doing on. And especially when it comes to displaying different races of people. Half of white people in this country can't even fucking handle race as a fucking whole and confront systemic injustices. So what makes me think that this is going to be any different, even in a fantasy setting? But that's all I had to say. To the new subscribers that are coming in, thank you so much. I never thought that I would even reach the amount of people that I'm reaching. It's not a lot of people that I'm reaching, but still, I mean, it's obvious that it's reaching somewhere into somebody. It's reaching somewhere, especially as this comes on more and more and more and more and more. And I just want to, give out my shout out, let people appreciate and know, like, thank you so much for subscribing to me. I know I can ramble on long, but I'd rather give you quality thought processes than to give you short little rambled shit like you see from certain other Song of Ice and Fire channels where it's just like, this is all we know and regurgitated shit that you've heard for several hours. But thank you guys. Comment, like, subscribe below. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Or let me know on Facebook and other places what you think in the comment section. All right then. This is your girl Crow here. Thank you. Bye.